Item 10B, adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with Wilsey Ham, Inc. for design of the Avenues 1-1 and 1-2 sewer and water main replacement projects in an amount not to exceed $454,002.
Sorry, it's connections there. Before I discuss in detail about the Avenues 1-1, 1-2 project, I'd like to provide an overview about the city's capital improvement program and the projects and its status and how this Avenue 1-1 and 1-2 is related to the overall work plan. So the city completed the water and sewer master plans, and both documents have been adopted by the City Council. And the city also developed the 10-year prioritized work plan that took into considerations the regulatory deadlines established by the settlement agreements with the baykeepers to complete the sewer capacity projects by 2019. And also looked at to replacing all of the aging and undersized water infrastructure pipelines that will improve the fire flow and reduce pipeline leaks and main breaks. And then also replacing all of the aging sewer pipelines to reduce infiltration and inflow and ongoing maintenance needs. These projects were prioritized based on these considerations, and the first focus is to complete the sewer capacity projects by 2019 per the settlement agreement with the baykeepers. The sewer master plan determined a total of 9 sewer capacity projects to be implemented, and then the city will begin replacing the oldest infrastructure in the downtown area and the surrounding neighborhoods. So what's the status of our projects? This slide shows various sewer capacity and other improvement projects that the city is proposing to implement within the next 5 years. The sewer capacity projects are shown in red with their corresponding ID numbers. The other capital improvement projects areas are shaded where Avenue 1-1 through 1-3 are kind of indicated in yellow. The 2-1s through 2-3s are in green, and the 3-1s through 3-4 are in blue. So out of the 9 capacity projects, the city has completed 2. And the 7 remaining projects shown on here are to be designed and constructed fairly soon. And the staff came to council to award 3 capacity projects in the past. Those were the San Mateo Avenue bypass project, the Crystal Springs sewer project, and the Genevan project. And the water pipelines are being replaced at the same time as the sewer pipelines to minimize construction impact. These 3 projects, numbers 1, 2, and 3, are under design, and construction is anticipated during spring to summer of next year. Staff is currently designing the 4th capacity project, which is the Crestmore Canyon, which is number 4. This project is also anticipated to be constructed in spring of next year. The remaining 3 capacity projects, the numbers 5, 6, and 7, the Crestwood Drive and the pipeline going to the pump station over at Crestwood, and San Antonio Avenue is anticipated to start design next fiscal year, 16-17, and construction anticipated in 17-18. So for the Avenues 1-1, 1-2 project, this is the first of many large area pipeline replacement projects in the 10-year work plan that will be implemented to reduce the risk of sewer overflows and improving the reliability of the water system. So as the slide shows, the city has an aggressive sewer and water replacement project scheduled within the next 5 years. So the anticipated design and construction fiscal years are indicated next to each project area. For Avenues 1-1 and 1-2, the project consists of installing approximately 7,800 feet of water pipeline and 6,700 feet of sewer pipelines along various streets bounded within San Mateo Avenue, Huntington Avenue, Taylor, and Florida. Both the water and sewer are being replaced at the same time to minimize construction impacts, and the existing pavement will be replaced as well after the pipeline replacement is completed. The city issued an RFP for this project in March and obtained services of an engineering firm. And 6 proposals were received, and we evaluated them based on the firm's understanding of the scope of work for the project, qualifications and experience of the project managers and team, and their experience with pipeline design and construction around business corridors. Design services were also reviewed. These costs range from $454,000 all the way to $755,000. But based on the qualifications of the firm, staff is recommending to award the project to Wilsingham to provide the engineering services for this project. And Wilsingham has the qualifications as they've completed similar design projects for cities of Burlingame, Berkeley, and South San Francisco. The scope of work includes preparing a technical memorandum, evaluating the alignment alternatives, geotechnical investigation, potholing, corrosion design, surveying, detailed final design, preparing bid documents, and conducting public meetings and workshops, and providing construction support services. As for the project schedule, staff is estimating the design will take approximately 8 months to complete, with an additional 8 months for construction. And if awarded, it's anticipated that this design will be completed by July 2016. And public outreach and workshops will be conducted during the design phase with businesses and residents and property owners to obtain comments. And the city will, plan a project in a manner to minimize, impacts during construction to the public, but road closures may be necessary during construction, but will be evaluated in the design phase. As for the budget, the proposed project is already appropriated in the fiscal year 15 to a 20-year CIP, and the cost of this contract is available in the current fiscal year funding. So therefore, staff is recommending to adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with Wilsingham for the design of the Avenues 1-1 and 1-2 sewer and water replacement project.
Thank you.
Happy to
Any
answer
questions for staff? Ken?
Jimmy, can you speak of the budget? I realize these are multi-million-dollar projects, and we're just getting started on them. You made it very clear in the staff report that the design was $450,000 up to almost $800,000. How do we have a handle on that? And actually, how do we have a handle on the overall project? I don't feel comfortable knowing that we have it funded. Don't we have a responsibility to try to get the best bang for our buck, for these projects, even if we may save $1 million here or there? I just get this feeling that we've got a big chunk of money, and we'll just use it until we can't use it, until, can we, I assume we have enough money to fund all these projects, but are we actually being prudent in trying to minimize the amount, minimize the cost? I know it's a heavy, but there's nothing in here on design costs. And I realize on a $9 million project, it's only $500,000. But $500,000, it could have been $400,000, $800,000. So that's another $300,000. So I'm just wondering if we're really have a handle on the best price, for these next projects. Comment as you may, but it's just circlings in my mind about that.
Yeah, the costs, we do evaluate or we do review the costs that the consultants provide to us, and since it's a professional services agreement, it's not like a public bid project where we have to take the lowest cost that is being provided by the consultant, but we do a thorough review to ensure that the manpower allocations or the labor efforts that are being provided on the project is adequate for the needs of the project, and you definitely see a wide range as we saw here, like you would see in a construction project going from $454,000 in this case to $750,000, where some consultants thought that is a lot more involved than others. So we do take, even though we don't request costs directly in the proposal and have it separately in the envelope, but we require manpower allocations. That's what we reviewed and compare that with the other proposals to make sure we're getting the best bang for the buck.
And we've been experiencing, although we're not engineers or we're not cost estimators, at least, if we trust staff, they've provided some form of estimate. Mm-hmm. And I think I'd feel better if I knew what that whole breakdown would be, that yes, this is within range, and, it's actually lower than what we anticipated for design costs.
So I'm going to just try and answer that. So that the total cost of the total engineer's estimate of the project for construction is in the $9 million range. It is not unusual that design costs range from 10 to 15% of the total cost. So we are within that, well within that anticipated range. It's hard to predict sometimes what the actual cost will be, but as your staff report indicates as well, there is in this particular solicitation, we had a number of proposers and qualifications, understanding of the job, et cetera, lined up with the lowest, or the very close to the lowest proposer. So I think, as the city engineer said, we always make sure that we're looking at all of the factors that are important, but keeping our eye on the big picture of the total cost. And we have no reason to anticipate at this time that the total cost of the project will exceed our planning expectations per the budget.
To add up all the numbers in the appropriations, it's about $11 million, I believe. Right? And so, if this is $9 million project based on an estimate, and then also the design.
Councilman Rivera, as you recall, we went separately when we first started with the master plans. We did a water master plan, and then we did a sewer master plan. And each one of those master plan outlined costs for each of these projects. What we tried to do was combine these projects so we could get the substantial savings. So since we combined the project, we have not revisited how much the savings would be. So we will have substantial savings from our original estimate, which was basically the sewer, and then separately the water project, and combining them together and just adding up the total amount. Because we're going with one set of consultant, they're gonna go ahead and do the one evaluation of the roadway. They're gonna look at all the utilities in the roadway, including the sewer and water. They're gonna be replaced. We will see substantial savings, even with the increased construction cost, since we first started the project back several years ago as the master plan.
Yeah. I'm pleased with it. It'd be nice to know, as we get at this stage, where it falls within our budget. And if it is a lot lower than what we planned when we did the master plan, then that's fine. But I think at some point we'll need to make those adjustments.
Yeah, once we start the preliminary design, we will have a better handle of exactly what we're dealing with. We will find out exactly what the utilities are, what size piping we need, what are the complications that we're going to encounter with closing the road or staging the construction. We will have a better handle on it. So at some point during this process, before we actually do the final design, we can look at the estimates and reevaluate and see what is the actual savings we're going to gain.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else on this item? Michael?
Thank you. Did, when you were talking about the various projects that are in flight right now, you mentioned that some of those are being designed in-house and some are being subbed out like this one, or are they all being subbed out? Did I understand that correctly?
There's currently only one pipeline project that we're designing in-house, which is Crestmore Canyon number 4, because it's not as complicated as the other projects, and there's very little utility conflict in that area. It's a straight shot, in a trail path, so it's, the city just didn't want to spend the money to hire a consultant to design that, so we chose to do the design in-house instead.
Okay. And this particular project that we're looking at tonight, how complicated is this one versus other projects that are in flight?
The other capacity projects are at a single in a single location, like on a single road, like Genevieve, San Mateo, and Crystal Spring. But this one, it's, we're talking about a whole cluster of, several blocks. The two areas that we're talking about there, one is a triangle piece, and the other one is just below that. There's several streets that are there within that area, and all of those water and sewer will be replaced as part of this project.
Okay, so this is one of the more complicated ones.
Correct.
Okay. And then looking really big picture at everything that's going to happen between now and 2019, which is our deadline to complete all the capacity projects, have we considered at one point, would it make sense to us to build up staff at least for that period of time so that we can maybe bring in additional expertise and maybe reduce our costs? And I guess a question I should ask before that is, what is our cost for doing an in-house project versus when we sub it out? I have to imagine that we can do it less in-house.
It's only 3 years. Yeah,
Well, I mean, 3 years is a long enough term where you could make an investment in an employee.
yeah.
Yeah, so, based on my experience with the having design in-house for previous agency, there's competing priorities with the various different projects, so that needs to be evaluated. But it can be done with the amount of staff that we can hire, but it has to be evaluated, and how many projects we're planning to move forward.
Mhm. But we do have a plan for the next several years, and even after we finish the capacity projects, there's going to be other projects that we've already decided that we're going to take on. So I think, you said that this one is probably a little more complicated, so maybe we'll let this one go. But going forward, I think I would like to see some consideration for right-sizing the department and making sure that we're not in the interest of making short-term decisions and trying to keep the head count down, that we're making bad long-term decisions.
Anyone else? Action on this item?
I'll introduce the resolution.
Councilmember O'Connell.
Aye.
Councilmember Medina.
Aye.
Councilmember Ibera.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Salazar.
Aye.
Mayor Ruane.
Aye.